In a recent Nintendo Direct, it was revealed that Pokémon Gold and Silver versions are being ported to the Nintendo 3DS, set for release on the Virtual Console on September 6th. But should you actually buy these ports? You know, I can't do it this video. I just really can't. There's no debate here. You need to buy these games. These are going to be good games. These have been good games. So today on Stuff We Play Guide, I'm going to tell you why you should buy Pokemon Gold and Silver on the Virtual Console. For those of us who are alive in the late 90s to early 2000s, Pokemon was phenomenal. It was literally a phenomenon. You know, the Beatles? That's how big Pokemon was. Except the Pokemon made the Beatles look like shrimp or something like that. I don't even know what I'm saying. You see, I'm not sure if you realize this, but back in my day, Pokemon was what you call the God, can I swear on this channel anymore? So what's happening in the ports of Pokemon Gold and Silver? Pretty much everything that happened in last year's ports of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. They have filters to change the look to, look more Game Boy-ish if you want. They're going to run very smoothly. You're going to be able to trade wirelessly and battle wirelessly with other people on the games. You'll be able to access the Pokemon Bank service and be able to trade your Pokemon between Gold and Silver and Crystal, much like you could in Red, Blue, and Yellow, all the way up to Pokemon Sun and Moon, or I guess in the case of this year, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But furthermore, they're bringing back the time capsule function. And what the time capsule let you do was trade Pokemon between Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal and Red, Blue, and Yellow, as long as they're Pokemon from the first 151. Gotta catch them all, folks. They're bringing that back. And yes, it's wireless. That's cool. That's really, really cool. And I am really excited for that. But furthermore, I'm excited for these in general. Back in 2010, which was, God, that was 7 years ago, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out, which were fantastic remakes. But at the same time, the originals always will hold a special place in my heart, particularly Crystal version. I remember the first time I actually played Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. I played Silver version, and it belonged to my cousin Kevin. And I remember I was really little. It must have been about 4 years old, and I couldn't read. So I was like, oh, that thing looks cool. I'm going to press buttons until that thing dies. I went back later, and I got a copy of Pokemon Crystal. And man, when I played through Crystal for the first time, it was after I'd already gone and played Diamond. I don't know why, but Crystal really clicked with me. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the fact that this was before Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out, and it's like, what do you mean you can travel to, spoiler alert, 2 different regions? What do you mean they brought back an evil team? What do you mean we're fighting Team Rocket again? Oh, they want revenge? What? That's so cool. What do you mean they're chopping the tails off Slowpoke? That's dark for Pokemon kids. You know how much I love Pokemon Gold and Silver? Let me show you something. This is my collection of Game Boy games. Why is it a collector's card album? Because I used this to hold my Yu-Gi-Oh cards when I was a kid. Now I use it to hold Game Boy games. So those are my Japanese versions of Pokemon Gold and Silver. I got those on a trip to Singapore with my dad when I was a kid. I unfortunately don't have a Japanese copy of Crystal, but now I've made this video, I think I'm going to seek that out. Those are my copies of Red, Blue, and Yellow from that, and Green version also from that trip. Those are my personal copies of Gold and Silver. That one I got a few years ago. That one I remember shortly after I got my copy of Crystal, I tried garage sailing for the first time, or one of the first times. And I found that there. And the save battery doesn't work, and it still doesn't work. But I've had it since then. I mean, came on, that was probably about 2009. God, to think that was 8 years ago now. And these games have been out for nearly 19 years. And finally we have this. This isn't that original copy of Crystal that I had when I was a kid. This one's special to me for a different reason. You see, I stupidly traded in my copy of Crystal for I think it was to help me get, maybe it was black and white. It was something back when GameStop still took those, but right at the end of that, This one belonged to Colin, my BFF, Colin. And he gave that to me, and I'm never selling that one because it's sentimental. Because A, Crystal was the one of Gold, Silver, and Crystal I played first. I mean, I technically played Silver first, but you know, first one I actually played through first, and also because it was Colin's. So overall, I guess it's not a question of should you buy the virtual console ports of Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, but personally, why I think you should. Why? Because they're wonderful games, they're historic games. For many of us who were around back then, who played these games at some point in their life, they're meaningful games. They're games I'm glad to be able to play again. And if you're younger, maybe you don't understand, that's fine. And who knows, maybe you'd be better off tracking down Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Actually, maybe not. Those go for like $44. You see, you too should download these because they're cheaper. These games hold a special place in my heart and a lot of gamers' heart. And let's be honest, by doing this, Nintendo's guaranteeing they're going to make a crap ton of money. But that's just my opinion, and remember to leave your opinions down below. Along with that, leave your own personal memories of Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal versions, or just Pokemon in general. This was less of a discussion, more of a reminiscing video, so go ahead and do that, and remember, stay classy, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.